Okay, welcome to the November Scottish Fiddle Club meeting. And we already had a special Scottish Fiddle Club workshop last week with Ian Robertson, but this is our regular monthly meeting and regular workshop. And I want to apologize to all the people trying to get it live streamed. Technical problems foiled us once again, so I'm making this recording that I can post after the fact. So sorry not to bring you along live. All right, this idea for this entire workshop started last spring when Becky and I got an email from Lisa Mason in Scotland. And Lisa Mason is the daughter-in-law of the late John Mason, and you might or might not recognize his name. Anybody know who John Mason was? He was the leader of the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra. And we have done several of John Mason's tunes, some of which you would probably recognize, like the Lament for the Death of Reverend Archie Beaton. I know that some of you have played that at sessions recently. One of his most well-known tunes, The Wild Rose of the Mountain. Another very well-known John Mason tune. So anyway, what she wrote is that we're preparing a 2-volume set of Scottish music written by John Mason, and we'd like to send your group a complimentary copy. So Becky wrote back on our behalf and said, why, of course. We would love to have this. And a few weeks ago, this arrived from Scotland for me. It's a 2-volume set. Very, very nice edition of John Mason's music. So here's a picture of John Mason. For 30-some years, he organized and conducted this Scottish Fiddle Orchestra. There are lots of Scottish music groups in Scotland that are Strathspey and Reel societies, or fiddle orchestras, or fiddle and accordion societies, or things of that type. And basically, they are big group community music making. And they often work towards putting on a few performances. So a lot of times, not only do they learn and play music, but they also specifically work on arrangements suitable for performing. We do that a little more casually because our performances at, like the Virginia Scottish Games or other festivals that we might do are a little less scripted. But what I have gathered, not only from what I knew about him before, but after looking through all the music, this guy was all about community music making. And so this is like perfect for us because most of his compositions are very accessible and they're designed to be fun. So fun and accessible, that sounds like it's just the kind of thing we want to know more about. And so what I can say about this music is that he does not tend to write in exotic keys, and he's not writing to show off how fancy a tune he can write. He's writing to provide something that would be really fun for a group to play. And so I think we can all appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, it was just such an exciting thing when this box came and I opened it and it's like opening a treasure box. So, sometimes the theme of the workshop of the month, I have to say, oh, these are complicated tunes, but what's simple enough to teach as an accessible tune by ear? Well, this time the question is more like, what is not accessible for a first tune by ear? There's so many choices here that are quite easy to play. So I've just gone through and I just made sure that I got a little bit of a wide view. There's more than 600 tunes in this book, and so there is no question of like including one of every type that he ever wrote. Like Wild Rose of the Mountain is tune number 725.
Those are all his compositions?
Yes, these are all his compositions. He also arranged traditional tunes to be played by this group, and so it was not all about his own compositions, but he would never stop from writing his own compositions and putting them into the mix, because I run into this where I say to myself, oh, I wish I had that perfect tune in just this key that would fit between this traditional tune and that traditional tune. And sometimes to find that perfect tune, I have to write it myself. So I can see him asking that same question and answering it by composing one of these pieces that we're going to look at today. So would you like to start with a reel, a strathspey, a polka, a jig? A reel? Okay. Let's go ahead with this one because it's, you know what? I was going to say because it does sort of double duty. There's both a strathspey and real-time version of this particular tune. If I teach you the strathspey, it'll be easy to learn the reel. If I teach you the reel, you'll have to do a little bit of work to learn the strathspey. So would you rather start with the strathspey? Okay. I can offer you one other thing. If you want one that's really quite simple, we can start with the polka, just as a warm-up. You want to do the polka? Okay. So this tune is called The Lively Polka. So I also am familiar with this particular phenomenon. I have a friend, Larry Unger, who does composition as a regular exercise as part of being a musician, and he's probably written a few thousand tunes. And Larry's problem is he doesn't know what to name them. So sometimes when we get together, we sit around and play through the new tunes, and then Larry's friends will suggest names. And some of the names I've suggested have stuck, so that's kind of fun that I've gotten to name a few of his tunes. So I kind of think the Lively Polka just has this name because it is. So it didn't say anything. There are notes on a lot of these tunes, but the Lively Polka says nothing. So let me play it for you. Pretty cute, isn't it? All right. So this type of tune, by the way, is something that is not seen in Scotland in 200 years ago. You would not find a tune of this type. But in the 1800s, when Queen Victoria, who was she married to? Albert. Prince Albert. And where was Albert from? Yeah, Germany, right. And what kind of music do you associate with German folk music? Polkas, right? Yeah. So, and Albert was known to be a patron of the arts. That was one of his things. In fact, the Royal Albert Hall, which is a famous music hall in the UK, is because he was a sponsor of musical arts. So, polkas and accordions sort of rose to popularity in the 1800s. It had a lot to do with Prince Albert being really popular and a sponsor of music. So this kind of polka is really more of a 20th century accordion band phenomenon. However, John Mason was a fiddler. And even though he did have accordions in his Scottish Fiddle Orchestra, here's a picture of them performing. I'm going to put it up to the video camera, but You can see it's quite a lot of people. But what you might not be able to tell is we've got fiddles, 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 lots of fiddles. We got some cellos, we got some basses. They're the basses. We've got some accordions, we've got some percussion. So it's kind of like a Scottish dance band or Ceilidh band amplified by just sheer numbers. So anyway, this style of polka, very 20th century. All right, the pickup notes is a triplet on the arpeggio. So it's the G arpeggio, but leaving off the bottom note. Let's first of all find our key of G. So here's G. And the G arpeggio is where we take the first note of the scale, the third note, the fifth note, and the top note. So those are the notes in the arpeggio. And let's add the next note. If we were going to keep on extending this arpeggio, we'd need a B note, which is with your fourth finger up on the top. And let's take the arpeggio back down. That's very harmonious. Now we're going to leave off the G, and our pickup notes are going up. All right, and then our beginning is that arpeggio coming down from the high B. Pickup notes. Okay, so we're right at the beginning. I've now played the pickup and the first bar of music. The next bar is EAA, open strings on the fiddle. Okay, so here we go. So far, so good? Okay, next bit is a pickup note of G. This is at the end of the second bar, but it's a pickup note to the next phrase. And it's scale work. To complete our 4-bar phrase, and it has a pickup note of A. let's add it together with the scale. So far, so good? Yeah?
I actually don't quite get the connection between the two.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay. Good question. Okay, are we good so far?
Yeah.
All right, now, how did this start again? We were just doing scales. What did we do? Yeah, the arpeggio thing, right? So we have the 3 notes going up. Open strings. The scale. So let's do that again. Again. All right, so that's the first 4 bars of the tune. Okay, there's always good news in these John Mason tunes because you're going to repeat most of that for the second phrase. The second phrase starts exactly the same. Still the same. Still the same. So there is one new thing. The very end, a pickup note of F sharp, so that you can do landing on a final G. Okay, let's put it together with the phrase. So this is the second 4-bar phrase. It still starts with the arpeggio thing. Open strings, the scale, second ending. Does that make sense how it's put together? Let's take through.
I'm sorry, how's this start out?
Oh, it starts the same as every phrase started so far with the arpeggio going up.
Starting on G?
No, that's a B note.
Yeah, okay.
Right. It's the G arpeggio, but with the low G just entirely out of the picture.
Oh, okay.
It's only the B, D, high G, and high B that are involved. Okay. So the same arpeggio start. Open strings. The scale. Go to F sharp. And the ending. Let's do that a couple times through. as always, if you don't get all of the bits, find some bit that you recognize and say, I can do that part. and then just, wait for it. When it comes around, make sure you play it, and then try to catch the notes before, the notes after, and see if you can add to it. We'll get plenty of practice because the two phrases of this A part are nearly the same, except for the last four notes of each phrase. So in both cases, here's for you to listen and map it out. We have the arpeggio thing, the open string thing, the scale, first ending, then it's the same. Still the open strings, still the scale. Second ending is lower. So first ending, second ending, and otherwise it's all the same. So let's see if we can put the phrase together. It'll probably feel a little bit better playing that second ending if you've already done the first ending. Arpeggio, starting on B note. Up high. Let's do it again. That's sounding pretty good. How does it feel? Are there any pieces that you really don't know what's going on and you want to get a close-up or special advice, clarification? Let's move on then. B part. The B part. Okay. Second half of the tune. In some ways it's a little bit backwards from your typical tune because a lot of tunes start low and then in the second part they go up high to elaborate on it. This is the reverse of that because we obviously started by going up pretty high. Well, now we're going to be working low for a little while. So we're down here now. The pickup note is an E note, so find that E note. All right, so we have a little pattern that's going to be going on. Two notes the same that are quarter notes, and then an eighth note pattern that has, with the two middle notes the same. So let's find our quarter notes. They are Ds. And then the eighth notes we dipped below the D, and then we're going to repeat the D twice and play an A. All right. With the quarter notes. So far, so good?
I'm not sure.
Not so sure?
Where does the E come in?
Oh, the E is a pickup note.
Ah.
So let's do it with a pickup note. Is that working now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me add a little bit more to it because it'll make the phrase make a little more sense. So we have with the pickup note. So we're just going down the scale. We were at an A, and that's the reason why it ends with an A there, to set you up for. So just find that G and F sharp. So let's put two bars together with the E pickup note. Again. And again. That's sounding pretty good. Would you like to know what comes next?
Sure.
Okay, the same pickup note. It's still an E, and it's still two quarter notes, but we're going up higher. So it's still with the D quarter notes, and this time it's F sharp, the A note gets repeated. So let's just go from the eighth notes. Has everybody found these notes, or do you need some more? We're going to practice it a bit more. But have you found the notes? Still looking for some?
Yeah.
Okay. Where does it get messy? Oh, yeah. So right after the quarter notes of D, F sharp. Let's just put that together, that one measure. The end of phrase is you're already on the C, so you just play another one and then two B notes. And with the pickup note, which is always an E here, right? So how did this start again? The B part? That should sound familiar, right? Good, all right. And then the next phrase. together. That sounded good. Let's do it again. Good? Not good? It's okay. I know they can get mixed up. The next bit is a little sequence of similar measures. So we just had this. And then a little higher. Now we're going to take a high E pickup. This is actually G. It goes to a high G. Let's find those notes. By the way, are those notes familiar in any way? How did this tune start? With an arpeggio triplet, and what were the notes in it?
B.
B, B, D, and G. So this is using those same notes. So let's add the beginning two notes, which were two D quarter notes. Now make sure your G is a G natural and not a G sharp, and especially not a G in between. Yeah, it's either going to be G natural or G sharp. No G sharps in this tune. This is in the key of G, which means all the G's are natural. So find that note. Yeah. Okay. So now we're playing. This is the first bar of the last 4-bar phrase of the tune. Quarter note, arpeggio notes. Next measure. We kind of take the same idea and knock it up the scale one note. So where we started on D before and played B, now we're going to start on E and go to a C note. So let's try that. E, E, C, high A. One more in this sequence. We're going to go back to no, actually we're going to jump up one more note. F sharp. And then now we start with the D note. It doesn't go to, I know, good prediction, but it does not go to the B note. It's an A. So let's run this little sequence that we've got going for the last part of the tune. We had starting on D. Would you like to hear it first? Okay, so it's D, D, starts on B, ends on G, E, E, ends on A, F sharp, still ends on A. Let's try those 3 measures. All right, there we go. Okay, any predictions for how this tune ends? Very good, perfect, exactly. That is, you're on A. So the last 4 bars are up by 1 note. And that's our 4-bar phrase. So far, so good? Yeah? All right. I think we should remember how the beginning of the B part went. What did I say about it? Low, right? E note low. Yep, that's very good. It was the same rhythm idea, right? Is that more or less come together? Yeah? All right. How did we start the whole tune?
The B.
Yeah, with the B, right. Open strings. Scale. First ending. Let's do it again. How's that?
Oh, good.
Yeah? Good? Okay. Should we play it a few more times?
Sure.
And then try to bring our speed up more closer to polka tempo?
Okay.
Yeah?
Do the sections repeat?
Yes.
A,
It's AABB. So the 8-bar phrase repeated, second 8-bar phrase repeated, total of 32, standard tune format, nothing crazy about it. And it is lively. The lively polka. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, I should have just, guaranteed ease of use, right? Results may vary from user to user. Here we go. From the beginning. Yeah, more? Faster? Yes, okay. 1 and 2. about dance speed. So, yeah.
So when we play it up fast, are you doing those separate or?
Yeah, I still am, just because it gives them a little more distinction, and it's not easy to do. It just gets messy. So I'm just trying not to like overthink it and trying to be too fancy about it, and just like play the notes. Because that, having read through a whole bunch of these tunes, I did not get through all 795 or whatever, but having read through a great many of these tunes, one thing that was clear to me was that he didn't set out deliberately to give people complicated, weird bowings. So the easiest bowing is probably the preferred bowing. And I think that separate bows is easier in that particular case, so you don't have to do some kind of string crossing mess with this, slur. So, all right, that's the lively polka. Shall we move on? Do you still want the Strasbourg, or should I pick something else that may be a different reel? Your choice.
What's the jig like?
Oh, the jig is pretty sweet.
Is it long? You know how I prefer the music.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And there are a number of people who prefer not learning by ear, but I've got to make you learn one more by ear. So how about if I play you the choices, all right? If you want the jig, here is the jig. It's a charmer, and I'll tell you more about it if we choose to learn it, or I'll tell you more about it when we play it from the sheet music if you don't choose to learn it by ear. Here's the option for the reel to learn by ear. Which one would you like?
Second?
The jig? The jig.
Okay, who wants the jig?
I think the jig.
Who wants the reel?
I'll be the only one out.
Okay, I think it's the jig. It's the jig.
I'm gonna learn it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna learn it anyway. And it's
Yeah, that's
and
right.
listen. One of the things is that you get a lot of bang for the buck out of tunes that sound fancy and complicated, but are not actually structurally that challenging. So there are some things that you have to pay attention to. I'm not saying this is like free pass, just zone out, whatever. But one thing I learned by reading many of these tunes is that these are tunes that have some predictive quality about them. You are already able to predict what came next a number of times in the lively polka, and it'll be no different in some of these other tunes. Okay, so one great thing about this book collection is there's a section at the back with notes about the different tunes. And so this tune is called After Miss Bennett. And you might say, well, that's kind of a weird title. There's a dance called Miss Bennett's Jig. And it has a certain tune, which I have brought along so that I can play it for you. At least I thought I brought it along. We'll dig in the bag. Okay. Anyway, so the tune itself is actually not really called Miss Bennett's Jig. It's called Miss Betty Hunter. And I did bring it, but it's disappeared. It's probably at the back of this or something like that. Why, yes, there it is. So Miss Betty Hunter's original key is E flat. A lot of people play it in G, so I'll give you a sample of Miss Betty Hunter, the tune that's played for the dance, Miss Bennett's Jig. And then after Miss Bennett's Jig, which he wrote as a complement to that tune, so it should sound a little similar. Yeah, can you see how they're kind of they're cousins or something, right? They're meant to be related, and I find that's often a great compositional tool, is to say, okay, I'm going to write a tune that goes well with this already existing tune. And that's exactly what he did. And so it does have some, reminiscences. So the beginning of it is built, again, we're in the key of G. So it's a good thing we warmed up with G scale and G arpeggio, right? Let's do that in the low octave here, though, because this tune does reach down low. So we'll start with this low G. Now you're going to need the whole range, but you only need this low range for the first half of the tune. So let's find our arpeggio notes in this range. Low G, B, D, and G. All right, so the beginning of the tune starts with those arpeggio notes and scales going downwards. Our pickup note is a D, and then we're going to play arpeggio, and then down the scale. Notes. So far, so good? Okay. Here's what happens next. We're down here, down on our low G. So we have a B pickup note to that third bar. And we come to the C note and down the scale. Okay, where do you think the melody goes next? Down or up? Right, I mean, it's kind of a dumb question, right? We're out of the range of the fiddle. He was probably composing on the fiddle because he played fiddle, right? He grew up playing fiddle. So it's going up next, and it's just a scale up. So we just have... Okay, so far so good. A little bit of arpeggio, a lot of scale, and we're 4 bars into the tune. So let's try putting the bits together. Pickup note of D, arpeggio, down scale. explain this again?
Maybe just play it one or two more
Just
times.
play it a few more times. We can do that. Okay, so I'm just going to explain what I'm doing with the bow, because sometimes that makes a difference. When I have a lot of this rhythm, I like to play it down up instead of up down, because this is a little more awkward balance wise. But when I play this tune, you know, obviously the first one there is down up, but then here I am up bow. Oh no, it's a little bit awkward. What do? I slur at the next opportunity. It's really hard to slur the same note. So I just let it go for there. And I slur there, so that at least my next measure is down up. Jigs do not have any particular direction requirement for your bowing. But when you have a series of long, short, long, short, long, short, you get a mechanical advantage. Just like it makes sense from the point of view of the balance and weight to play down, up for those long and short sequences. So I just throw in a slur at some convenient point to make that happen more. Remember, it's never the end of the world if you're doing the bowing the opposite direction. In a jig, there are no penalties for bowing the other way, but it's just a little easier. Oh yeah, in an orchestra, people get fussed about the direction of your bow, and sometimes it makes a great deal of difference mechanically and technically. And it's a nice visual if a large group is playing with the same bowings. But in Fiddle Club, we're not going to penalize anybody for playing the bowing the other way. But I will recommend certain bowings. All right, so let's get back to our tune. Our first phrase and technically we're already on to the first note of the next phrase, but I just decided I didn't want to leave you hanging there. Okay. Let me give you what's next. We landed right back on that G, and everybody was trying to play. So it is almost the same. It's like a decorated version. So I'm just filling in. And what I'm filling it in with is or do you need some details there? Anybody need details? Okay, who wants to predict what comes next? You predicted a C note. Right. On the if we went exactly the same direction as before, we would have a second phrase that leaves us hanging. We can't do that. We've got to resolve. Okay, that's a nice idea, but It's not what John Mason did. So what he did instead was to fill in and then go to that, straight to that scale that ends the last phrase, the other phrase. So let's find our ending. It's the scale. Let's link it up though. So with the filled in version, that's the critical thing. From this B note, you're not going to a C this time, you're going back down to an A so you can climb the scale. Down. Okay, we good? All right. So, let's put together the first 8 bars of this jig. Listen first. Let's try it. That got a little mushy in there. So remember, the first time, long, short. Down the scale first. Then up. Second time filled in. Go down so you can start the scale from the A. Let's play. Reasonable? Okay. More?
No, it's good.
Okay. In that case, I would like to move to the second half so that we can get on to the other tunes in this workshop before it gets really late. So we've played low. Now it's time to play high. Right. So. So an F sharp, sorry, not an F sharp pickup note, a D pickup note. Let's just go with just that much. Again. Next bit. Sounds familiar, right? Same rhythm pattern. Okay, so the two phrases together, this is 4 bars of the B part. far so good?
Yeah.
Okay, next 2-bar phrase, same rhythm pattern, starting with a B pickup note. So far, so good? Okay, I'm going to end the phrase. We just had. Let's just find that pickup note of B, A, high A. And the turnaround at the end of the phrase is just scale work. So let me give you the last 2-bar phrase. It's the octave thing. Scales. Okay, I would like to put together the 8-bar phrase. How did this B part start? Very good, thank you. Okay, let me review it for you. Same rhythm pattern. Same rhythm pattern. Octave. Scale. That's how it fits together. Let's try it. And let's do it again.
Is it just a G on the end?
It's an F sharp. And the next phrase is going to start with a G. It's leading us right back to the starting point.
It just feels like there should be a G there.
I know, because it's unresolved. But that's the whole idea, is that it's unresolved so that your next note that starts the phrase is a G.
Okay.
Okay. Same 8-bar phrase at the beginning of the B part. Yeah, and then you want to play that G note. You really want to play it. So what happens next is that he does the fill-in thing, just like he did with the second half of the A part. You see how that's just filled in? Okay, you're getting a little too predictive there. Let's play the first two bar phrase of the second 8 bars of the B part. And you're right that the next one starts with an E, but he doesn't do the exact same pattern. It goes a D sharp. Okay, and then we have See, there's more than just two notes there. It's you know, you have to pick. You have to pick. You have to skip one because you can't put all of them in. So with the D sharp in there. All right, we've got 4 more bars to go. What are those last notes? Arpeggio. It's our friendly arpeggio. So the fill-in, starting on C note, arpeggio. Okay, let's try the fill-in section as we know it so far. We've got 6 bars of it. All right, let's try that. Okay, so we now have almost the entire B part. I'd like to start with the simple, you know, the unfilled in part of the B part.
Can we do
And-
this one more time?
One more time before we end. Okay, the six bars of the filled in part. Ready? Okay, now back to the unfilled in part. Doesn't it sound bare? Now that we've done the filled in bit? Okay, I think we can try putting it together now. Let's do the B part as we know it so far. Octave, scale, fill in. And we need 2 more bars. How did the A part end? Anybody remember that? It was really low, right? And then it went. And where are we now? We just went. Where should we go? Yeah, so it's just a scale up. We're here and we just play a scale. And he actually has you repeat the high note.
Octave higher.
Yeah. So it's just the same ending as the A part, only going high. Yeah, you're an octave up and you stay high. All right. I want to put the whole thing together in consideration of the time. So let's do this. If you don't recall all of the bits, just catch the bits that you can. Remember, there's a lot of G notes. You can't go wrong with G. Okay, here we go. again from the top. All right, that's the tune, and that's all I'm going to give you for now. It's time to hand sheet music out so that we can get to the rest of the tunes today. All right. I'm sorry, that was a little more challenging than I led you all to believe, right? Where did I put the music? I put it right here. Okay, so there are 4 sheets. It's pages 5, 6, 7, and 8. Does everybody have 4 pages? Oh, hand them along. Go ahead and hand them along. Okay. Okay. Yep.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
Okay. So,
Does anybody need it, or is that an extra?
did everybody get it? I think everybody's got them.
Everybody have it? I have one, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Somebody next month won't have it.
Yep. Somebody will need it.
This is the sign-up sheet?
Yeah. Sign-up sheets coming around. So you should put your name on it and put.
Your name is already on it.
Oh yeah. Find your name. Find your name if it's already on it. And then check off that you've got this month's music. Now, if you missed last month's music and you need a copy, I have some here. Okay. And let's see. This is usually a time we make a few announcements, so I'll make some quick announcements. Next month is my concert season, so I hope you all come to some of my concerts. I'm playing at Dumbarton Church in Georgetown on December 13th.
Could somebody send that all around? Because
Yes,
it's
I will send all the info to
that would be
Pete
wonderful.
and have him send it. Also, some of you might be on my personal mailing list, and if you are, then I'll be sending a mailing out within the next 2 weeks. So I play at Dumbarton Church in Georgetown. That one is also streamed, so if you're not local, you can get that concert that way. I play at the Institute of Musical Traditions on the 15th, which is a Monday night, which is convenient for some if your weekend is crowded. And then that is in Bethesda/Rockville. And then I play on the 20th in Towson, Maryland, Baltimore area, Goucher College. And that is 2 shows. So I hope some of you can come to some of those things. The other big thing is that my talk on the history of Scottish music, 400 years in just over an hour, is now posted at the Teachers Association of Canada website. So I'll give a link to that in the email also. So if you want to watch that history talk with the musical demonstrations, you can get that way.
It's mine.
Okay.
Oh, it's yours, okay.
All right. So let me introduce the first tune on page 5. This is the Strathspey, and it's Mr. Stuart McCraith's Strathspey. So Stuart McCraith was one of the founding members of the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra. So, you know, when John Mason got this thing started and was the conductor of it from the very beginning, he obviously recruited people that he already knew from the sort of Strathspey and Real Society Scottish Fiddle Orchestra scene, and Stuart McCraith was one of them. And like many people in this organization, he was one of these folks that had a different, you know, his own job. He was an orthopedic surgeon and a singer, but also led the second fiddle section of the orchestra for many, many years. So anyway, he gets his own tune from John Mason. So let me play this Strathspey for you. And I think, to me, it sounds a little bit like it's modeled on some of the Scott Skinner style Strathspeys. So I see there's one thing missing, which it should say DS, which means go back to the sign, and the sign should be after the pickup note. Right? It should be the very next note after the pickup note, because when you repeat this tune, you don't play an extra pickup note. It's just an extra beat that you don't need anymore. So I will make that modification to the music, and if it, you can either mark it in on your own music, or you can wait for Pete to issue the correction page. Okay, so now let's try playing Stuart McCraith's Strathspey. To the next page, where in the middle of the page you'll find Mr. Stuart McCraith's Reel, and guess what? It's the same tune, only they left out all the filler notes. Page 6. Page 6. The second page I handed you, Mr. Stuart McCraith's reel, it's in the middle of the page. And here's how it goes. Sorry, I was supposed to fill it in. And it's ready to go again. So let's try this one, not any faster, okay? Strathspey and reel back to back. How about if we get that a go?
Oh, yeah. So we'll go back to the first.
So the two tunes back to back without pause. So now I think you can see more clearly how related they are, right? And here's the interesting thing is I went through looking for reels, first of all, and I wrote down a bunch of, oh, that's a good reel, that's a good reel. And I wrote down this one among them. And then on a different day, I went through and said, okay, let's find some good Strathspeys in here. And I picked out the Strathspey version of this, and it was only later when I was entering them in for us to use that I said, oh, they are the same tune, Strathspey and reel versions of the same melody, which is, it's quite a common thing to have a pair, a Strathspey and reel pair in Scottish music. So it was kind of interesting that I picked them both out as being good tunes independently. All right, let's look at Bobby McBride, the other strathspey on the page. And let me just tell you what the word is. So Bobby McBride was another member of the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra from the beginning, which was 1980, by the way. And he was a Scottish country dancer. And Yet Beald is the name of his house. People in Scotland tend to name their houses. It could be a very big house. It could be a very small house, and it still will have a name. So, and
Does Yet have some?
oh, there's a place called Yet,
Oh,
and a Beald is like a building, a place that you built, right? That's Scots. That's just Scots for, yeah.
so it's sort of like lively poetry.
It's not making any grand or pretentious claims about this, right? Yet Beald is this thing built in Yet, rather than, Yet Mansion, Yet Palace. No, it's not as grand as all that. It's just like, here's my place. So John Mason wrote, "It's dedicated to my great friend and supporter over many, many years, and just a little tribute of thanks for all the effort and hard work you've put into the Scottish fiddle music and the encouragement you give to others. Always ready with a quip and a ready smile." So that just gives you an idea of the character of the person for whom it was written. We know that a lot of the historic tunes were written for people in similar circumstances, but what we're missing is we don't have these little notes about, like, what was it about this person that made the composer write the tune in this way and give it to this particular person. Well, here we have a little bit of the answer. So for people 200 years in the future, they'll know a little bit more about the person for whom the tune was written. Let me play it for you. Yeah, I think it's a nice tune. It could be played slower. I was playing at a little more dancey speed, but this is one that would definitely, if you wanted to slow it down for a listening version, you could definitely milk this tune for a lot more at slower pace. Shall we try it slower? Okay. I'm going to move it right along. So on page 6, we have a tune called Shalach on Minach. So let me tell you what the notes are on this. A Corbett in Dumfries and Galloway. Does anybody actually know what that means?
No, Corbett, isn't it?
It's a what?
A bird?
No. So, some of you may have heard the term a Munro. Anybody know what a Munro is in the Scottish context?
Okay.
A little person? I don't know.
No, it is not a
Okay.
person. I mean, it is a last name.
Okay.
So I actually had pictures of this, but they got disappeared. Okay. I'm trying to blow up the picture. There we go. Here we go. Okay. This is Shallock-on-Minnock. So what do you think it is now?
A hill or a mountain?
Mountain, right. So the Munros are Scottish mountain peaks that are higher than 3,000 feet. Corbetts are the next category, 2,500 to 3,000 feet. Now, they don't all have, sort of free and clear 2,000 feet. Right, yeah. Because it's however high it is above the surrounding landscape, which might also be high. But Scotland has, I looked this up and now I've forgotten. It has hundreds of Munros and about 200 and some or 400 and some, many Corbetts. And then there are like all these other names for the smaller size mountains. And by contrast, like England has like 3 Munros and Ireland has 8.
Pretty flat.
And Wales has a few more because they have some actual mountains in Wales. But Scotland has the majority of high peaks in all of the, Great Britain and Ireland.
Right.
So mountain hiking, mountain climbing, and Munro bagging are all favorite Scottish hobbies. People like to get out walking and they like to climb up to the top of these peaks. So a Corbett being the next best thing to a Munro, and of course some of them have peaks that are higher than the Munros do from the surrounding area.
Right.
So they can be quite dramatic. So this is one in Dumfries and Galloway is the sort of the part of Scotland that's a little bit southwest of Glasgow. So it's on the west coast of the main part of Scotland. So this is named for a mountain peak, and it is the only tune that I found so far. Granted, I have not read every tune of John Mason's, but so far it's the only one in A minor that I've found. So let me play it for you. Yeah. Very dramatic, right? Let's play it. How do you like that one?
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a good tune. Okay, we already learned the other two tunes because we went through Stewart's reel. And the Lively Polka was our first ear tune. So let's go ahead to page 7, where we have Bill Cook of Clackmannan.
We did after Miss Bennett, or?
Yeah, we did after Miss Bennett. That was our jig that we learned by ear. And if you didn't, you can always go back to it. Right. So Bill Cook. First of all, I'll just tell you that John Mason was born in Kirkwall, which is in Orkney, but he grew up mostly southwest of Glasgow. Wigtown is how it's spelled. It's probably pronounced Wigton or something like that. I don't know. And then Troon is where he lived most of his life. He was a lawyer, but I think he kind of probably gave the law a little bit less attention as the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra became his, passion and hobby. There's a story that he started playing as a kid. And the story is that when he went off to the university, his parents made him leave his fiddle at home so that he would pay attention to his studies. But he would come home in the summer and play and play and play. And of course, after he successfully became a lawyer, graduated, became a lawyer, he started doing more and more playing. He played for Cayley's, he played for, joined the, Strathspey and Reel societies, stuff like that, and then eventually started leading the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra that he started to share it all with as many people as he could. So, what was I about to say about Bill Cook? Right, Bill Cook. Right, so Clackmannan is on the more eastern side of Scotland, is near Stirling, which is east of Edinburgh. And he was, it says in the book, eminent member, leader, and president of the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra, and an influential character in traditional music. I actually looked up Bill Cook independently, and he not only was deeply involved in the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra and took over conducting it after John Mason passed away in 2011. Bill Cook also really involved in, I think, Stirling, Strathspey and Reel Society, and played lots and lots of fiddle music, and had a lot of students. And by the way, Alistair Fraser's from Clackmannan, same place. So who knows? He may know Bill Cook quite well. But let's play the tune so you can hear how it sounds. To my mind, this reminds me of sort of like the Ronnie Cooper model of reel. And we had a Ronnie Cooper workshop not too many years ago, so you might remember something about how his tunes were. So let's play it a little slower. could technically be a hornpipe, but John Mason listed it as a reel.
Yeah.
So, if you remember, I likened it to Ronnie Cooper's tunes, and Ronnie Cooper's reels all end with this dump bump bum. So there is a type of reel that's popular that ends with bump bump bum, and it really sits on that line. Is it a hornpipe? Maybe. But there is a section for hornpipes in these books, and this is in the reels section. So I've listed it as a reel, and I'm just interpreting it as one of those Ronnie Cooper style tunes. But if you wanted to turn it into a hornpipe, I wouldn't object at all. Yeah. So on page 8, we have Wild Rose of the Mountain. Now this is one tune by John Mason that we have learned before.
After Miss Bennett?
We learned that by ear.
Oh, we did?
Yeah,
No.
we actually did. Okay, so Wild Rose of the Mountain is one that we've had before, but I included it this time for two reasons. We've had several John Mason tunes before. There's another one, it's called Dufftown Rally, or We Welcome to Dufftown, or Welcome to Air, or something like that. One of those is the name of the dance, and one of those is the name of the tune. That was about 6-7 years ago in a workshop on dance tunes. That's another John Mason tune that we've had before. And then another one we had way back in book 5, The Lament for the Death of the Reverend Archie Beaton. That's one of John Mason's all-time hits that people have been playing all over the place for years. This one, Wild Rose of the Mountain, also is that. It's not supposed to be the Wild Rose. It's supposed to be Wild Rose of the Mountains. Mountains, plural. As it is listed in the second part down below. So that didn't get updated. I actually corrected it at the original spot, but the old version of the PDF got placed into our music. Okay, and so the Gaelic language that just says Wild Rose of the Mountains in Gaelic. Rose yid hechnam ban.
That is mountain, yeah.
Well, B-E-A-N-N is plural, mountains. Bian. Yeah.
Yeah. Wild Rose.
Wild Rose. Yeah, rose.
Is it the flower of the person or the
Yeah, it's the flower.
flower? Okay.
But like the English rose, it could also be a name. Anyway, so the version of from John Mason's own collection is very slightly different. A few details and the chords. And I specifically wanted to include it because it's an example of him doing what he did all the time for his Scottish Fiddle Orchestra, which is arranging multiple parts. The whole section in book part 2 is arrangements of songs and multiple part arrangements of tunes. Because this is what, yeah, I mean, he would have the whole orchestra doing this kind of thing. And so there's a whole section here, here's the Wild Rose of the Mountain page, where it's the first part and the second part. So I wanted to specifically get his chords, his harmonies, and exactly his way of doing it. So worth doing again, even though we had it about 8 or 10 years ago. All right, I'll play for you. So that bit at the end, the fermata, is hold that note. So hold that high G note. And then the RAL, R-A-L-L, stands for rallentando, which means relaxing the tempo. In other words, slowing down. And obviously, if you're going to play it all again, you're probably not going to do that the first time through. But if this is the last time, you would do that. Let's go ahead and play that, then I'll play the second part, and then we'll play it together and you can choose which part you want to do. It's not our last time, so I didn't slow down. Okay, let me play you the second part so you've got it in your ear, and then we'll try playing again. And that repeats. So it was a nice counter melody. Let's try this whole thing. Choose what part you want to do, either the melody or the second part. And I'll decide whether we've done it enough after one time or if we need to do it again. And then the last time, whichever it is, I'll do the hold and the slow down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. so sweet. So that gives you an idea of the kind of thing that he would get big groups of people to do. And it's just really clear that he inspired a whole lot of people. From the names of the tunes in the book, some of them are people that I know who are Scottish fiddlers now, and then I read the notes and it said, this was for so-and-so who joined the Scottish Fiddle Orchestra when he was 13, and now he's like a big fiddle name out there, right? So he had a lot to do with getting people interested in Scottish fiddle music, playing the music more, gave them a group setting to play in, make them comfortable. A lot of people learned a lot. Some became very prominent musicians themselves. And it's just a real pleasure to have these books from somebody whose life was dedicated to community music making in the Scottish fiddle world. So that's our look at John Mason's music for this month.
Hello.
Hope you enjoyed. So I'm going to sign out of the video now.